Recycling is more than a trend. It's a necessity. In a world where environmental responsibility is often overlooked, Glenwood Springs in Colorado stands out as a model for us all. I'm a proponent when it comes to recyclability. I've always been. These people, this town is doing it right. Now, why it matters? Because their innovative approach to recycling not only reduces waste, but it sets a precedent for other communities to follow. Now discover, this is a small town, but they're making a big impact. The one thing I loved about this article, first of all, is Glenwood Springs has taken the liberty, if you will. They've taken the time to look at recycling and the issues with recycling in a lot of places. Now, oftentimes I rant here about recycling because people say, oh, recycling doesn't work, it'll never work, or whatever, which I've often said on this platform. That's nonsense. It does work. It always has worked. The problem is that we don't have consistent rules and regulations and guidelines, for anybody to follow. In my town of Cleveland or Avon, Ohio, I could go over to the next town over 5 minutes from here and have completely different rules. And this is where what Glenwood Springs is doing is profound. Nothing here is rocket science, but what they're doing is encouraging in several different ways. They're encouraging people to slow down, pay attention. Now let's start with this. First of all, the whole ordinance that they put together is they are fining people that are recycling or trying to recycle products that aren't recyclable or they're not in the correct receptacles. That's a big thing. If anyone has followed me over the years, that's as simple as separating, in many cases, glass, plastic, paper. However, if it's anything like my town of Avon, Ohio, people just throw crap away right in that container. What Glenwood Springs is saying is, look, we're not doing this anymore. You're going to be fined for this. In fact, there's a tracking system. They can tell what you're shipping and what you're putting into these containers, and you will be fined for each occurrence of having to go through this. And I love that because part of this is getting people to slow down. These receptacles for recycling are not just another trash can. Okay, Glenwood Springs is really following the protocol that you will be fined. The other thing they're doing here is part of that fine is incentivizing people to pay attention. Look, recycling will work. Recycling will work in a couple different ways. Number one, it'll work if there's an incentive for people to do it, meaning to actually bring it to their receptacle or the store or put a deposit on certain materials to get recycled and ground back up or whatever it is, and you get a coupon or you get a 10% off coupon. Look, this is over and over and over again. In other countries from Denmark to Norway, they do this and people love it. Regardless of whether it's a $10 or 5% or a 10% off, doesn't matter. It's the incentive to get people to recycle. Okay, which is in essence what Glenwood Springs is doing on one way. The other thing they're doing is they're penalizing people for just not paying attention. It is not Glenwood. They make a very good case. When you ship contaminated product that technically could have been recycled, should have been cleaned and put in a certain whatever it is, you're forcing that landfill to have to deal with that. And by doing that, you will pay a fine. And there is an environmental cost to this. And Glenwood Springs, this is brilliant because they are saying, no, you're not. The job is on you. So much of the recycling world and this anti-plastic nonsense, they're trying everything they can to keep people from having responsibility themselves. We're going to find the manufacturers and we're going to push this on the retailers. And no, it's for you and me. If we are the consumers of the product, we should be able to separate glass and plastic and paper and aluminum or whatever it is into the right receptacles. End of story. We're not talking about chopping your arm off here. This is simple. But the main thing here is the fact that they have actually outlined fines. It is documented. And the other thing they're doing with this, really at the same time, is educating John Q. public. They're basically taking the time to make sure these documents, this information is written down, this information is clear for people to understand. These fines are very, very open and honest about why you're being fined. And if you don't do it again, you'll be fined more. And if you don't do it again, you'll be fined. Look, at the end of the day, that's what we need, something that pushes John Q. Public to get off their rear ends because we're lazy and actually do something with it. Doesn't have to be a return to store. The point is part of this education is they're taking a good chunk of time to educate. One of the reasons why I certainly believe that recycling is one of those untapped things that we can do, not just for plastic, but really of all materials, glass, aluminum, whatever, is educating the young people. We have a littering problem in this country. We have a laziness and just throw stuff out the window and hope it just biodegrades. No, it doesn't work like that. It's got to go to the right receptacles. It's got to get into the right recycling bins so something can be done with it. The other thing they did was they went through a whole laundry list of what is and what isn't acceptable. This is also brilliant. Not rocket science, but brilliant. Why? Because nobody else is doing this. Nobody that I'm aware of in the U.S. has taken the time to really go through this and openly say, if you don't follow this, this is your penalty. This is what's going to happen. But again, all the basic stuffs, the plastics and the glass and the metal, those are clearly defined. Caps on, caps off, clean. All these instructions are absolutely critical. Now, the next thing they do is what not to go in there. Pet waste, sharp needles, clothes and hangers. I mean, how often do people just talk, oh, that's recycling? No. That's not where it goes. Okay. What they're saying is, no, you're not throwing your dry cleaning and your hangers out in there and expecting us to deal with it, because that's what's happening. It goes to the waste center. They have to now separate it. This is what Glenwood Springs is saying is, no, get off your rear, get it to the right receptacle. Batteries, light bulbs, electronics, those kind of things look, it doesn't work. Recycling will work if we do it properly and follow rules and regulations that everybody has to follow. I applaud Glenwood Springs. I know they're onto something. There is no reason why we cannot do this in every single town throughout the country and actually make it or incentivize it one way or the other, good or bad. You don't do it right, you get fined. You do it right, you get a deposit back. Whatever that is, that's what we need here in this country. Recycling has worked. It does work. We have documented proof that it works in other countries. Don't tell me it won't work and it can't work. I don't care what the substrate is, whether it's glass, metal, plastic, paper, it will work. It has worked. We've got to stop this vitriol out there that's basically saying, oh, no, it's the plastic's fault. That's our problem. Problem is our lazy. So there you go. Glenwood Springs, props, great article. I hope you get lots of gold stars out there, not only for the environmentalists, but from those that want to be in a community that actually is proactive and is doing something positive for the environment. Thank you.